in today and I'm thinking about the state of both of these baseball teams, right? I'm sitting there saying, all right, Yankees, Red Sox, all right. What are you going to do here? Mets moving forward. And specific to the Mets, that's where I want to start. That's where we want to start. As I'm in my mind, I'm kind of flashing back to all these conversations we've had this entire season so far, diagnosing what's wrong with the Mets. And let's be honest, there's a lot that's wrong with the Mets. They don't look good. Lack of hitting, mess of a bullpen, erratic starting pitching, the lineups that we complain about nightly, the bad trades Billy Epler made last year, all those things. Throw them in a pot, stir it up, and you have the record that you have. But it finally hit me today, and all those things apply. Like that, I don't think that those things are going to change. The biggest problem with the Mets is that the Mets are directionless. The 2023 Mets are leaderless. The 2023 Mets are rudderless. The Mets have they're just drifting.
They don't have the juice from an individual standpoint to pull themselves through adversity.
Not a player, not Buck, not the GM. Cohen's not going down that road viscerally. No, they don't.
This feels like a best laid plans that went very awry. Because you bring in Buck Showalter, who career is littered with fixing cultures and turning things around and making things feel right. Obviously, he's fallen short, and you didn't even realize he's never coached in a World Series game. So he obviously hasn't achieved the ultimate status, but from a incremental standpoint, he's a very good manager. You can't put him in the great category, obviously, but he's a very good manager. But in order for very good managers to have success on a professional level, they got to have the right people there. They got to have internal leaders. This is what we're alluding to. Leaders in the clubhouse. You got to have a front office that populates the team with really good players. And the Mets have none of that. We've had this conversation a lot. And even when we first asked Hoff this, we asked who the leader was of the Mets. He said Eduardo Escobar. Mm-hmm. And that's telling. As good as Francisco Lindor,
you still believe that? By the way, Hoff, is he still the leader?
He did score the winning run against the Yankees.
He did, yes. I don't want it to be. But, listen, honestly, I think Pete is drifting towards it, but I don't really know if there's one pure-cut leader now.
Well, that's the point.
Exactly.
That's the
if you're not sure that there isn't, then there isn't.
I mean, Escobar's been here 3 years, 2 years, right? He's not.
This is year 2.
So it's his second year that he's been here, and he's supposed to be the leader. It should be Pete Alonso, but for whatever reason, Pete Alonso doesn't feel like that leader. It should be Francisco Lindor because Francisco Lindor is paid to be one of the best players on this team, but it clearly doesn't feel like him. In some cases, it should be Buck, but Buck feels emotionless. So when you boil it all together, this finely baked whatever dish you want to throw out there feels more like a stew that's just thrown together, and it's not actually coming up tasty at all. No. This Mets team feels lost because it doesn't feel like it has a leader.
Listen, by the way, we're not talking about the emotions that might come after a tough football loss. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's obviously baseball players need to process and compartmentalize highs and lows different than really every other sport. You're out there every day, and you could just drill yourself into the ground. You could corkscrew yourself into oblivion if your emotions are all over the map over the course of 162. But it hasn't escaped me so far as the Mets have played really poor baseball. I know they won the other night, but in totality, running the bags, not defending well, bullpens imploding, and nobody has seemingly been resistant. It's like everybody's okay with it. And say what you will about Aaron Boone. To bring the Yankees into it, Aaron Boone, at least when he's doing his press conferences after a little bit of a rough stretch, he's terse, he's short, and that he's visibly pissed. Now, I'm not saying he's flipping over tables or, dropping F-bombs like they did in the 70s and the 80s, but as a Yankee fan, and you can question maybe some strategies. I'm not saying that he's beyond reproach. He's good, but he's not beyond reproach. But you never walk away feeling about the Yankees, man, does anybody care? And you walk away that way with the Mets, and that's not good.
Well, the 68,
it's not acceptable.
68 games in, and it feels like there's still time to fix it.
Oh, time.
I know, I'm just being real. There's a little less than 100 games left, right? It still feels like there's time to fix it. But do you have faith that this can be fixed? And I think that's the problem. Now, there's many ways to go about this. someone like Buck or Billy Epler, or more importantly, Steve Cohen. That's who we should point to. Somebody needs to get upset and tell us that they're upset, because then the players hear that this is unacceptable how we're performing. Instead, what we get is, it's all right, we'll figure this out.
Yep.
Or we get, it's still a lot of season left to play. But with the expectation that came into this season, with so much money being spent on all of these top-end players, from Scherzer to Verlander, obviously Lindor is there. Pete Alonso is going to get paid at some point. Like, all of this momentum from last season is falling flat, and I think it's because it feels like there's no urgency. Nobody has urgency in this Met organization. And I guess it's okay because there's 90s whatever games left, 6 games left. But it can't be okay, because eventually you're going to fall so far out of this. They're 10.5 games back now, 4th place in the NL East.
Yep.
And so it's not going to get any easier. It's not like Miami's going to fall apart. It's not like the Phillies are just going to hand it over or lay over. Obviously, Atlanta's not going to do the Mets any favors.
The Mets will only see the back of Atlanta's jerseys.
That's my point. So unless they
10
generate it within themselves, this is not going to get fixed. And so the question becomes, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, what needs to happen for the Mets to fix this melees that they find themselves in,
See,
and they've been in for a month?
I want to challenge. It's not a melees. To me, a malaise is when you're better than you show, but you're in a little bit of a funk. To me, to say that the Mets season has been,
you're saying they're not good
driven,
enough,
if you will.
Yeah, they're just not good enough.
Yeah, is overstating the talent of the Mets.
Yeah, but
it's like an excuse. It's not a malaise. It's just, this is who they are.
But how could you say that?
I don't think they're good.
I mean, Jeff McNeil won the batting title last year.
I get it. We run through this all the time.
Nimmo's the dude, man.
Nimmo's the guy.
Even though he's made some
paid.
mistakes, etc. Yeah, these guys got paid. Pete Alonso, even though he's hurt for whoever knows how long.
Yeah, he's going to be out a while.
I mean,
he's going to be out a while.
Francisco Lindor is underperforming, swinging for the fences in crutch situations, but the bases low. Like,
a lot of problems.
But I can't say they're not talented.
Put it this way. Well, I'm not saying they're completely devoid of. They're not. Yeah, they're not destitute in terms of talent. I mean, they should be a little bit better than this, but I don't think that they should be much better than this. I don't. Listen, there's only one way to maybe save the season. I'm gonna have to play the song every day. That's it. I mean, there's a little urgency. At least when you rock the song, you get the drums, you get everybody singing, everybody clapping.
This is full troll.
It's not. It's honestly not.
Right now, it's full troll.
I swear to God, it's not. I mean, listen, it is what it is, guys. I mean, 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. I mean, I don't know if fear is the right word, but I certainly sense, and I expect that the next 3 weeks, a month, if you want to stretch those boundaries a bit, I think the next month is when the Mets officially get buried. And if they don't, then I'm going to rock the Lindor jersey. Me and Hop are going to go have a blast, and we'll be hanging out at City, and I'm going to have that little tailgate party, and I'm going to mix it up. The 7 line if they'll have me, the Met fans if they'll have me. I'll be doing shots with Met fans. I'll be rocking Lindor gear. I don't think that's happening. No chance.
By the way, I will make sure that they allow it, because I'm going to be your security that day.
I'm going to make sure you're
yes. Here's the issue.
Going to need some muscle, Hoff.
Here's the issue, though, because what you're saying, Hoff, and what BT is intimating, trolling as a Yankee fan over here.
No.
What you're saying is that the Mets are turning back into the Mets from 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
He doesn't know what he's saying. That's the whole problem.
But that's what it feels like. It's inevitable. It's just going to happen. That's not what Stevie Cohen paid, whatever he paid to buy this team from the Wilpons. That's not what he bought this team to do. He bought this team to create a contender, to be great, to bring great talent.
And they're going backwards. Most alarming. They're going backwards.
So why be resigned? Shouldn't you do whatever you can
to
make it better?
But he put it on Billy Epler, and Billy Epler basically has given him a 0 so far.
Nothing.
That's the biggest problem.
He's given him nothing.
And what's going to happen there is eventually Billy Epler's going to go bye-bye, and we're going to bring in David Stearns. That's probably what's going to happen.
Will start to win.
But listen.
Win in terms of sustainability and maybe win a championship.
And here's
Billy's
the thing:
not the guy.
I do believe that you and I are going to be sweating this out till the final game of the season.
You really think so?
Oh, first of all, I've sweated out the division to the final game of the season. I've sweated out making the playoffs to the final game of the season.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen this year, too. So me and you are going to go mano a mano till the very end.
I'm game. I hope it happens.
You think that's happening with the current construction of this roster?
I think for the most part, most of these guys are going to be here. Vogelback, listen, and again, this is not a
please,
Vogelback.
No, we're not talking about
the point.
We're going to vote for him today at 11:30, whatever it is.
Yep.
We're not talking about Vogelback.
Yeah, the pitch to Vogie doesn't swing.
The point is that guys
right
like
down the middle.
the guys like
Think he'll swing in the All-Star game if he makes it?
Yeah, I know.
the guys like Nito, the guys like the guy that we just mentioned that's going to send him to the All-Star game. They really were insignificant to this team, but yet they are in key moments every single game because we have no one else to go to. Our complete bench, our stacked bench, we don't have anything.
The other night, Guillorme hits, and you have a lefty on the bench, and I'm certainly not making light of whatever mental issues, if that's true. It's not just a crutch or an excuse, and if it's the former, then I empathize with him, and I feel badly for the man, and I hope he gets it together, and I hope he does well. But if they're just hiding him because he ain't good, then, I mean, that's a colossal fail by everybody, including the organization, let alone Vogelback. But the other option was the other night, you either pinch hit Vogelback, they weren't doing that, or you go to Vientos, and they didn't do that. You send up Guillorme in that spot. Like, I don't know how else to frame this, man. If this team had David Wright and Reyes and some young electric arms or any other previous, not all, because some of the Met teams have just been trash since their inception, but there were really talented Met teams who imploded or underachieved or both, right? If this Mets team had that talent, I'd be sitting here saying, let's strap in. I mean, who knows what's going down with this team? Because I know that some of the guys they're trotting out there are among the best players in baseball, like David Wright was, like Jose Reyes was. I ain't saying that with this team. I just expect this to I feel like this summer and the early fall, they are done with a whimper because they are directionless, they are leaderless, they are rudderless, and they just don't have enough talent.
Is it fixable?
We'll see.
Is it fixable?
Not with this crop.
That's the question.
Only if they make a monstrosity of a trade.
Yeah, that monstrosity of a trade. At this point, you almost have to be completely willing to give up whatever you need to give up.
Whoa. For
you know who I'm going to say.
Otani?
For Shohei Ohtani.
I'm not giving up Alvarez for Otani.
Not Ohtani.
Okay.
He was the only one I was going to say.
Okay. Everybody else, let's go.
Everybody else.
100%.
And Shohei Ohtani, what he's doing right now, he's leading the league in home runs.
Dude, he's hitting second level opposite field. Opposite field.
I know.
Second level home runs.
Yeah, his 22 home runs, he's leading the league. And then saw the stat today, his batting average against is leading the league as well. I mean, he's amazing. And now I don't think that he would be this vocal leader. He's not going to, if and when he comes to Queens into city, he's not going to be this guy that's standing, I'm the guy here, I'm the alpha, look at me. That's not his personality. But at least he's going to do it with his play. The Mets right now don't have consistent enough play from guys who are being paid to be great players. And when you fall into that leaderless void that they feel like they're in right now, you need somebody to be a baller. And they don't have anybody doing that right now. Therefore, there isn't a solution. It's not just going to happen because it's supposed to happen.
But
that's the challenge for the Mets.
It's going to happen.
I mean, yes, it will.
By the way, the picture of you bald.
It's scary.
No, I got to tell you, initially.
It's growing on you?
Well, a little. You looked like Freddy Krueger initially. You did. Minus like the burns.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
What a scouting report. Hey, how about this guy on Tinder? He looks like Freddy Krueger, but he's just not quite as burned. No, but I tell you, the more
How are those nails, Hoff?
Yeah,
They're
right.
very long.
The more I look at that picture, the more you look like a badass bald. Like you do. If you see, here's where you can pull it off. And here's the thing: everybody at the station that's bald, and this is part of the bet if you don't know what we're talking about. Me, Tiki, Carton, Sal, Izzo. Is that it?
You said Al, right? Yeah.
I didn't say Al. I said Sal.
Al's in there too.
Al doesn't look like a badass, but it works
True
well
story.
for him. It works well for him. Like he carries it well. Morash is shaved.
Yep.
He looks good with it. It fits him. I thought you would look horrible. The more I studied it, right, I actually think you would look good, but you got to rock some facial growth.
What were you
that's
studying?
That's the key.
Studying?
Well, because people have sent me, they've repurposed it, and it's all over social media.
Your beard situation, like what can you do with your facial hair?
Well, what do you mean? What can I do with it? What are you talking about?
Like, can you grow like a Grizzly Adams. Like what?
Because not everybody's beard grows thick. No, I got you. Or evenly.
The only thing I cannot do, I cannot grow a good mustache. I look terrible.
Well, nobody looks good with just a mustache.
No, but can you
tell Carlos what done that, please?
Can you
looks
do
terrible.
the Fu Manchu?
I already did on the
I could do
or
the
the
Fu Manchu
goatee.
a little bit. I could definitely rock a goatee. The goatee's fine, but I think the best is like a nice like trim beard. Like
There you go. I agree.
That's the best look. At least that's what my wife tells me.
Yeah, well,
she
that's
always
all that
goes for
matters,
that.
dude.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, I'll give you 3 people who look amazing with stashes, and then we'll get to these calls. 877-337.
Don Mattingly, Tom Selleck, and
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds.
There you go. Those are the 3 that I had written down. Donnie, of course, number 1. All right.
Raleigh
let's
Fingers.
Not Ron Jeremy.
Raleigh
well,
Fingers.
I mean, Ron Jeremy's had some issues. The hedgehog.
Don't go there.
No. He went from a stud to just a bad guy. I mean, so I'm not going to make light of that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know.